Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pete Vimislik. I'm on dp2 service and support team. Vic Danowski and I are the ones that monitor for problem reports and service desk tickets that you submit to us. And we look at those all throughout the day. And then every morning we review them with the entire dp2 team to make sure that our answers are timely and accurate. We thought we'd take this opportunity to show you all the tools that we offer you so that you can get dp2 answers 24/7. Now, I know we've already had a long day, so let's just do a test to make sure that you're still with us physically and mentally. The next screen I show is going to have a statement. If you identify with that statement, please give me a hand raise. Are you ready? Here we go. I am always excited when I receive an invitation to join dp2 microlearning sessions, and often groan when I hear about a new dp2 release. Give me a hand raise if this applies to you. So go ahead and give me those hand raises. And while we're tallying up those results, I'm going to guess that probably more than 50% of you are going to agree with that statement. Of course, we want the experts to walk us through the workflow, rather than trying to figure out what's available and how to accomplish it. How can you get in the loop on the latest dp2 has to offer? We're going to let you know. We send you a ton of emails, maybe too many, about upcoming events like the ProLab workshop or how to register for an upcoming microlearning session. And those communications come about in a variety of different ways. So make sure that you read the email first before you delete it, especially if it says something like Kodak Alaris in it, or it might say go to meeting, or in the case of the ProLab workshop, go to webinar. And if it says Jira or Atlassian in it, we're probably trying to communicate to you about a service desk ticket or a problem report that you submitted to us. So read it before you delete it. And if you miss a microlearning session, that's okay, because we record them. And if you go to the Service Desk portal, you'll find this is where we're going to have an archive of the session recordings. This is also where you're going to come to get to the e-learning and the YouTube channel. And another great way to find out what's new in dp2 is to go into the knowledge base. You can just type in what's new, and you'll be directed right to the what's new and cumulative changes for that version. Additionally, we have a lot of tools right in dp2 that you can find information in. So if you go to dp2 and go to help and tutorials, there are a number of topics that will walk you through the workflow step by step. We'll show you how to put all the pieces and parts in place so that you can go through the workflow and know how to do it before you're actually working on production. This is also where you're going to come to get the school sample order. So if you go to school workflow, tutorials, and then school sample order, if you haven't done so already, clicking that button is going to install all the different pieces and parts so that you can navigate through the school workflow tutorial. Not only are you going to get the customer images, but you're going to get the corresponding subject information data. You're going to get order deliverables, sample products, sort data. A lot of those are things that you can actually use in your production. But if it says sample in it, which, for example, the sample products that we offer, make sure you first duplicate them and then change the name to something that we're not likely to use and that makes sense for you. That way, when you install another version of dp2, you're not going to overwrite all those changes. Of course, you can also get to the dp2 help. Just click on help and then contents. You can use the table of contents to navigate through the dp2 help. For instance, there's the what's new. Now notice that this is just a concise summary of the changes since the last version of dp2. In the document, there's often going to be a hyperlink so you can get to more specific information about that particular topic. Also, if you're interested in all the nitty-gritty of changes that we've made, you can click here and get right to the cumulative changes. Notice that's going to take you right to the service desk knowledge base. There's a wealth of information in there, so be sure to take advantage of that. Another way you can use the dp2 help is with a search. So you can just type in a keyword to find information that you're looking for. Here's an example. So every once in a while, Tom says, Pete, you're going to find it in the HTML assistant. I'm like, Tom, of course, you're genius. So, and then I hang up the phone with him and I'm like, I don't remember how to get to the HTML assistant. All you got to do is come to the dp2 help, type in HTML, and then take the choice for HTML assistant. And that'll tell you exactly how to get there. So you go to the taskbar, click on reports, and then HTML assistant. And it'll open right up. Now, please remember that most of the windows in dp2 have hover tips that you can use to understand what that feature is going to do for you. You can also, of course, hit F1, and that'll bring up the help topic for the window that you're active in right now. So that's the information we use to find the HTML assistant. Thanks, Tom. And then if you scroll down a little further, you'll see what all the different parts of that window are going to do for you. Scrolling down even further, you're going to see a link to a technical document that Tom put together on scripting and customization. Again, you'll see that went right to the service desk knowledge base. So be sure to use that. Also in dp2 is the render engine controller, which is going to have a wealth of information for you. If you're having problems with rendering, let's go to printing, then render engine. That'll bring up the render engine controller. Select the printer that you're interested in. And then, for instance, click on the Perform tab. Hitting an F1 here is going to give you information on understanding what the Performance tab for the Render Engine controller is going to do for you. Another thing that's handy to know is there's a lot of different ways to get to session logs. You can actually get there from the Diagnostic tab of the Render Engine controller. Just click on the Diagnostic tab and then Session Log. Now the session log is going to give you a wealth of information on what's going on with your workstation. So not only is it going to give you the actual error that shows up, but it's going to show you what the steps were that you did that ended up getting that error. Other information on the session log would be the workstation that you're on, the user that's logged into that workstation, the version of dp2 that workstation is running. You'll know whether or not you're running in large memory mode. Mine shows a 0, so that means that it wasn't enabled. Had it been a 1, that would have shown that it was enabled. If you scroll down a little further, you're also going to see information on the version of the dp2 on your server. It'll show your database version. Now make sure that you try to keep your workstations and your server pretty close to the same version of dp2. And you always want to make sure that you upgrade your dp2 server first, then upgrade the workstation. And after one of your workstations has been upgraded, make sure you go to edit and then load tasks and macros. That way you're going to get all the new features that we've put into place for that version of dp2. Another piece of information you're going to find in the session log is the lab unique ID. If you scroll down a little further, maybe not so far. Well, you're going to see the version where the shared database is versus what your local database is. I was doing a bunch of things in here, so that's why I changed everything. So, oh, here it is right here. So here's your shared directory and then your local directory. Now, since I'm working in standalone, they're the same, but generally the configuration is going to be that your shared directory is going to be the workstation that the shared kpdp2 folder is on, and then /kpdp2. Now, another thing to note is this information in the brackets here. This refers to the contiguous memory that dp2 has access to at that point in time. So you'll see that when it gets to the startup check complete, that's jumped right up. Now, had I been in large memory mode, that would be a much larger number. Now, if you're looking in the session log and you find that that number is just going down and down and down and not coming back for you, you're probably having a memory issue. So there's a wealth of information right in the session log that you'll have access to. Another tool that you can utilize in dp2 is the programmer's assistant. This will give you a ton of tools to allow you to do your customization of your dp2. For instance, on the Tools tab, Tom's going to be talking later on about how to integrate with Notepad++. In the bottom right-hand corner, there's a Best Practices button. If you click that button, it's going to get a presentation that Tom did on how to customize dp2. Sometimes when we're troubleshooting a case, we'll ask you to do a trace scripts. This is one place you can get to there. So if you click on Trace, which is right next to the Best Practices button, and then click on Trace Scripts. However, more likely you're going to be able to get to Trace Scripts by going to Edit, Trace, Trace Scripts. If you're having problems with HTTP, make sure you check these last two boxes, HTTP requests and payloads. Now, after you're done with that, it's a good idea to click the New Session Log button that's right in the middle here. What that'll do is that'll create a new session log, and then all the activity that you're doing next is going to show up on that one session log, and it makes it a lot easier to find out what's going on. So you click New Session Log, and then perform the activity in dp2 that gets the issue that you're having a problem with. And when that's done, uncheck Trace Scripts, and then you can send us a problem report, and that'll have all that information in it. Alternatively, you can click the Session Log button, save it to your computer, and then you can send it to us as an attachment in a service desk ticket. Now, there's other places that you can find information in dp2, like the knowledge base. And we've already brought it up several times, and it's true. It's a wealth of information. You can use the table of contents to do your search. We try to make it make sense to where you're going to find stuff. Or you can just type in the search window, say for instance, capture life. Here you'll see that there's a variety of things that you'll find. There's terminology on Capture Life, a micro-learning session, and e-learning. And of course, you can also ask for training. Did you know that your dp2 annual license, you get 8 hours of online training with Pat and Kathy? Also, if you need one-on-one help at the lab, let your account manager know and they can set that up for you. You can also come into the Service Desk portal, and if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see an option for Request Training. You give a summary of what training you need, and then try to put as much information in the description field as possible so we know exactly what kind of training you need. And then just hit send. We'll get that set up for you. Okay, Here's a question for you. Let's see how well you know the dp2 team. I'm going to ask a question, and this time I want you to type in the question field of the portal what answer you think is most accurate. Okay, you ready? What member of the dp2 team was most often used the term no problem report, no problem? Go ahead and type in those answers, and we'll see who comes up with the correct answer first. Now, while we're waiting for that,
He said the question.
I'm gonna get a drink of water.
He did.
While we're waiting for that, the reason I mentioned that is because if you still don't have a problem or an answer, submit a problem report. And all you need to do that is to come into dp2, click on help, and then problem report. Now this email right here that you see, us-dp2-support@kodakalaris.com, if you need to send us just a quick note for just a quick question, that's the best email to use. You could certainly send it to an individual, but that individual might be out. So at least CC the US dp2 support email address, because that's a support inbox that we monitor throughout the day, like every 5 minutes. So make sure you do that. Also, make note of the severity of the problem. We get between 3 and 4 service desk tickets a day. And last year, I believe we handled about 800. So it's really important for us to know which labs are in most need of our assistance first. And of course, put in as much description as you can so that we can understand what problem you're having and are better able to come up with a quick solution. The section here that says drag products, order items, images, this is where you're going to put any attachments that we need to replicate and better understand the problem that you're experiencing. If you're having problems rendering a job, there's the job queue extractor. It's a huge tool. If you click on that button and fill out the information that's being prompted, when we get that problem report with the job queue extractor in it, we'll get all the information that we can load on a test workstation to replicate exactly what workflow you're using. We'll get your printers, your printer queues, your products, all the stuff that we would need to replicate your problem to understand it. Now remember that the problem report is going to come from the workstation that's actually having the problem. If that workstation can't send us an FTP, all you got to do is click on just the zip button. That's going to pull all the information that we need into a zip file on your local KPDP2 in a folder called problem reports. Then you can navigate to that from a workstation that can FTP to us, and then you can zip an FTP. Or alternatively, you can send us a service desk ticket. So go up to help, dp2 service desk, and click on report a problem. You want to make sure you give us a brief description of the problem that you're experiencing. And remember to include the severity of the problem. Put a complete description of the problem that you're experiencing so we understand exactly what steps you're getting to get there, so we can better figure out what the best steps to get you out of it. There's a section towards the bottom where it says attachment. This is where you're going to put in any attachments that'll help us understand the problem. You can also drag your problem report zip file here, and we'll get that when you submit the problem report. Now, if your lab is down, that's as important to us as it is to you. So in the description part of the service desk ticket, just type in lab down, followed by a brief description of what the problem is, and as much information below to help us understand how you think you got to that position and what makes you think you are. We have text messaging in place, so even off hours, we're going to get that information immediately. And then we're going to make sure that we get the people on the phone with you quickly so that we can get you right back up and running as quickly as possible. Yes, it's true. Even we overlook things, but that's why we give you an opportunity to do a feature request. A feature request, let me just get rid of that because otherwise Brian Wilson's going to get a text. So if you click on feature request, this could be if there's functionality in dp2, but there's not enough information for you to understand how to use it. Or it could be something that you want to do in dp2 that it doesn't look like there's a way to do it yet. You'll see a lot of the information that we presented at the workshop is a direct result of feature requests from you. So make sure you put a summary of the feature requests, what you need, and complete description of what you want, any attachments. And again, let's help us prioritize this. If this is something that you have a workaround for and it'd be nice to have, put it like 2 or 3 months out. But if you need it for the next season coming up, put it for 2 or 3 weeks out. We're going to look at how large the job is for us to do, but also how many labs are going to be able to benefit from that feature. The more labs that are likely to use it, the more quickly we'll probably get that into dp2. And all that is going to lead to more comprehensive dp2 help and features we'll share in upcoming ProLab workshops, microlearning, e-learning. You've got questions, we've got answers 24/7. Do you have questions?